Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much for being in Prague. Today we're going to be talking about European Bitcoiners because I think we need it, and you will learn what we do in this pleb organization. So let's get right ahead. And I would like to start talking about what Europe and the US have in common. Basically, they have a few things in common, starting with the size. We're more or less the same size in territory, and we also have more or less the same economy. But the most important thing is that we're fighting against the same thing. In the US, you guys have the US government, and in Europe, we have the EU, the ECB, and the criminal we know as Christine Lagarde. So, yeah. In the US, though, they have something that we don't have here. At least we didn't have 1 year ago when European Bitcoiners was created. That was a Bitcoin social fabric. So what is it? Let's see an example of it in the US. We can see that they have big things like PopKey New York, Bitcoin Park in Nashville, where we will have Bitcoin Miami next year. So it will be Bitcoin Tennessee. And then we also have Bitcoin Commons, Pleb Lab, Bitcoin Policy Institute, Satoshi Action Fund. I bet you guys know more of them. But that's not all of it, because these projects could only be built on top of all of these communities and all of these people that were there creating this social fabric that powers all of these communities and community projects. So then I remember hearing this from Jeff Booth, and it's that when we all come together, and he was speaking about cities, but when we all come together, also online, and we join, we create something akin to a supercomputer, and we can start doing very great things. And nowadays, that's what they're doing with the meetups. But in Europe, 1 year ago, if any of you guys could tell me what was happening in Spain, or Portugal, or Sweden, Germany, I mean, you know what's happening in your country, but what's happening in other countries? Because in the US, they know what's happening in California, Florida, Texas, but in Europe, we don't. So, meanwhile, in Europe, what was happening back then? Well, we didn't know anything. Well, the big EU was, insert some clown music, banning proof of work, talking about unhosted wallets. Can someone please tell me what an unhosted wallet is? Does somebody know what an unhosted wallet is? No, nobody knows, right? It's just bullshit. And then also introducing a CBDC. I'm not a big fan. I don't know if you guys are. So then a year ago, we just decided to stop being disorganized. As Michael Saylor says, and we had him right here in one of these chairs a few hours ago, let's be decentralized, but not disorganized. So spontaneously, we decided to organize. Sovereign Monk, who was just the NIM, decided to just tweet something because he just needed to complain about all of these things, the unhosted wallets and the banning of proof of work. And it did have some traction. You don't see it, but there were at least 40 to 50 replies, amongst them myself, and people like Jester or Aaron Dewes from Run Citadel, if I'm not wrong. And very organically, some decided to create a Telegram group, some decided to create a website, others decided to host the infrastructure for the website, and we formed European Bitcoiners. And the first problem we realized that was keeping us from being like the US is the fact that we have 40 recognized languages, at least in Europe. Meanwhile, in the US, they only have 1. Therefore, languages are the main barrier to communication. But not just to communication between the USA and Europe, so all the content being created in the USA is hard to get to your grandma in Italy or to your brother in the middle of Spain, right? But also between Spain and France, or France and Italy, or Sweden and Denmark, or Denmark and Poland, right? It's just not crossing, right? And even worse, European Bitcoiners, when they want to talk to their grandpa, cousin, friends that don't speak so good English, they don't have the content. So we're not able to create more Bitcoiners in Europe. So that is why we have 2 things. The website, which is a pleb-hosted free publishing platform. If you're a pleb and you want to do some proof of work very easily, you can come in, do some translations, and start showing Bitcoin who you are and how you can help. And then also we decided to create Telegram, because we thought that Europe needed a town square to connect, find signal, organize, and to also start promoting local meetups. Like with all these amazing guys we had before, we want you to send people here. Let's say you meet someone from Hungary, you send them to European Bitcoiners, and you know that they will find real plebs, real Bitcoiners, who will send them to real podcasters and real communities on the ground. And that's more or less it. If you want to help us, we are looking for plebs willing to do some proof of work. We're looking for anything, pleb translations, very easy translation from English or any other language to your local language, or some developers or editors or graphic designers, or just any pleb who's willing to help Bitcoin make a better thing in Europe and fight against the EU. So that will be more or less it. You can scan the QR code to know more about us, and thank you very much.